Hey everybody! I'm so excited that we are streaming here. I'm Jillian from vKind. This is Wendy Matthews, the US Director of Veganuary. We're going to talk to her a bit about this year's Veganuary campaign, a bit about her own story, and how you guys can get involved in Veganuary. As for us at vKind, we have made a Veganuary guide as our way of participating. And this is a guide that everybody can download where we share with you some of our favorite brands and products and tips for the new vegan. So what's really cool about Veganuary is that it is engaging not only consumers and regular people, but also plant-based and vegan business owners. For those of you who don't know, Veganuary is a global campaign, and it started in the UK, but has also been operating in the US for the last couple of years. So yeah, hi Wendy, thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Jillian. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm super stoked that you're here. Veganuary is such a big deal to us and all over the world. So maybe you could introduce a bit about what Veganuary means to you and from your perspective, and how things have been going in this year's campaign.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. So you already mentioned we're a global nonprofit encouraging people to try vegan in January and beyond. And so far, more than 2 million people around the globe have signed up to take our pledge. And when you sign up, what you get from us is
Amazing.
a daily email with things like recipes, tips, meal plans, and even a downloadable cookbook. And it's all completely free. And one thing that I think is really cool we also offer is access into a private Facebook group. And there you can go to get support and advice, and also just share your successes and struggles with an audience of other people who are trying vegan this January. And then, as you mentioned, we also work with brands, restaurants, and retailers to launch and promote new vegan products in January, but also throughout the rest of the year.
And, awesome. I think go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think we have a slight delay. I was just going to say, you asked how it's going this year. Okay. And I'm super pleased to report that we have over 600,000 signups globally, which makes this the biggest Veganuary ever.
Awesome. That's such good news. Yeah, I was looking at the chart that you guys have to show how Veganuary has grown throughout the years. And it's really cool to see how it's just been progress every single year, basically, in terms of increasing signups. And when was the first Veganuary? When did that happen?
So the first Veganuary was in the UK in 2014. And it was started by a husband and wife team named Matthew and Jane, who essentially came up with the idea around their kitchen table. And that first year, they thought they'd be lucky if they got 1,000 signups. And they ended up with 3,300. So they knew they were onto something special. And sorry, did you just say there's a bit of a delay, or can you hear me? I'll keep going, but I was just going to say that fast forward to 2021, and we had
quite a big delay.
It seems it.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to pause and let us catch up to each other.
You know what I might try and do?
Okay. Well, it looks like maybe Jillian is restarting, but if I'm still live, I'll just keep sharing a little bit about the campaign for anyone who's tuned in. So we went global in 2020, and the campaign has since made newspaper headlines all around the world, and even major restaurant chains like Burger King and KFC have joined with Veganuary fast food launches. So we now run campaigns in the UK, the US, Germany, India, Chile, Argentina, and Brazil. And we also work with partner organizations in countries like Italy, Switzerland, France, Singapore, South Africa, and Australia, who run campaigns in their respective countries. So those are where we have active campaigns, but we also have people participate all around the globe. And last year we had people participate in over 200 countries and territories. And, those are our formal campaigns, but we know that about 10 times as many people sign up for Veganuary every year than officially register through our website. So we call this the Veganuary Effect. And I think we may have lost Jillian completely. And I'm not positive if I'm still on. David, can you let me know if I'm still on air? And if so, I can just keep sharing. Great. Okay. So the campaign has grown, exponentially around the globe. It's really been a meteoric rise. And I'm really pleased to announce that for the first time ever, the US is the #1 country in the world in terms of Veganuary signups, which is really, really exciting. And we did a survey earlier this year, kind of looking at the perception that Americans have of veganism. And we found that 30% of Americans said their perception of a plant-based diet has changed for the better in the last 2 years, which is when Veganuary launched in the US. And I really think that that's due to more Americans becoming aware of the incredible influence that our food choices have on our day-to-day well-being and the health of our planet. And also, I think it's due to the increasing number of amazing, delicious meat, dairy, and egg replacements that are coming onto the market, because that just makes eating plant-based so much easier and so much tastier. So I mentioned earlier that we just hit 2 million participants globally, and we're even above that now. But earlier this month, we hit that 2 million milestone. And I love looking at the collective impact that our 2 million participants have had, because I think climate change is really on everyone's mind these days. And a lot of people feel disempowered, like, there's nothing that they as an individual can do. But when we look at the collective impact we can have when we all do our part, it's pretty incredible. So far, our 2 million participants have saved 207,680 metric tons of CO2, which is the equivalent of 1.8 million flights from New York to DC. We've also saved 810 metric tons of eutrophication, which is the same as over 3,000 metric tons of sewage spared from waterways. And we've saved 3.2 million gallons of water. And plus, beyond the environmental impact, we've spared 6.7 million animals from a lifetime of suffering. So when you look at what we can do as a collective together, it's really, really incredible. And anyone who's out there participating in Veganuary, thank you so much for being a part of this movement. The environmental impact is something that we focus on a lot at Veganuary. And another aspect of veganism that I think is really important to look at is the health impact we can have. We hear from Veganuary participants all the time who notice improvements to their health, even during that initial 31 days of the campaign. And last year, just a few of the trends we saw where about 48% of people said that they saw improved skin. I like to call that the Veganuary glow. About 61% said they had more energy, and 57% said they noticed a better mood. All right, so I think I'll just keep chatting with you here until Jillian gets back. I think it would be interesting maybe to take a look at the corporate participation in Veganuary, because it's been really incredible this year. Last year, we had more than 800 product launches, and we're seeing really great corporate participation this year. In the US, restaurants have really embraced Veganuary this year. So some fantastic chains all around the country are running great Veganuary specials. One I just had the chance to try were the 2 new vegan pizzas that Mellow Mushroom launched. They're using Follow Your Heart cheese, and they are absolutely spectacular. There's also a great cookie chain called Insomnia Cookies that's in a lot of college towns all around the country. And they've launched 2 new cookies this Veganuary. And there are just fantastic chains in New York, LA, Chicago, and everywhere you look running Veganuary specials. And if you'd like to see more about these, you can go to veganuary.com and go to the special offers page, where we talk about all the different specials and limited time menu items and different things you can take advantage of this January. And I know we're on LinkedIn too. So if there are any businesses out there that aren't involved yet and would still like to get involved, a really great place to start is by downloading our business support toolkit. And that's available at veganuary.com. Or you can email uscorporate@veganuary.com to get to someone on our corporate team directly. But there's still time. There's a few weeks left in the month, and we have a huge audience of people looking for plant-based options. So still a lot of time to offer a special offer or a discount code and connect with that audience and raise your brand's visibility with the plant-based crowd. Yeah. So another question that I imagine a lot of you are wondering is there a lasting impact? What does 1 month of vegan eating really do in the long term? And we actually see an incredible retention rate at Veganuary. So, we're confident that people will have such an amazing experience eating plant-based that they'll want to keep eating vegan throughout the rest of the year, or at least significantly reduce their intake of animal products. And our surveys show that this is really working. So at the end of each campaign, we survey participants about how it went and what their long-term plans are. And last year, 85% of our 2021 participants reported they plan to at least have their intake of animal products following Veganuary. And that includes 40% who intended to stay fully vegan. And if you're not signed up yet, it is not too late to sign up. It's never too late to sign up for Veganuary, in fact, because we run the campaign year round. So any point in the year that you sign up, you'll receive 31 days of emails from us with things like recipes and tips and advice. And you can do that, in March or November, any point of the year you need a bit of a refresh or want to give vegan a go. But if you'd like to be a part of the January campaign and take advantage of some of the different specials and the community we have, now is still a great time to sign up. So if you go to veganuary.com and hit try vegan, we'd love to have you join in. So where do we go from here? This has been an amazing campaign, and we still have a lot of work to do this month, and we'll do all of our reporting at the end of the month. So you'll hear more about how we ended up, with our numbers. But in the long-term plan, we want to keep supporting people who want to go vegan even outside of January. So we are running some mini campaigns this year to activate folks outside of January, and those will be focused around particular animal products. So we have a fish week coming up where we'll be sharing educational posts about fish farming, but also great fish-free recipes and products. We also have a chicken week, and in July, we do a barbecue week, since that's such a big month for barbecues. So look out for those. The best way to stay connected there is just make sure that you're following us on social media. On Instagram, we are at We Are Veganuary, and on all other platforms, we are just at Veganuary. So find us there. Campaign highlights. I'd love to share a little bit about what is going really well in 2022 and some things that we're really excited about. So I'm very excited to say that worldwide, we now have the support of over 100 celebrities, and celebrities have just been a really incredible resource for us at Veganuary to help get the word out there and help spread the campaign and give it that viral quality it's taken on. A few new ambassadors in the US this year are Jermaine Dupri and LA Laker DeAndre Jordan. And we also just released our 2022 celebrity cookbook, which features recipes from Jane Goodall, Venus Williams, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, and more. So if you sign up, you'll get that to download on the first day. Hi, Jillian. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm back.
I've just been riffing over here.
Cool. I'm sure you've been holding down the fort just fine. But I'm kind of like, oh, I missed out on some of the things that she said. So I hope I don't get too repetitive here. But something I was really curious about that I think you may have started to touch on is how Veganuary has incentivized brands to include vegan options or, help bolster the creation of new vegan brands. Because, this the impact of this campaign is so far reaching. I'm wondering how, if you've seen in particular other brands that may normally have otherwise not done vegan product launches step into the vegan space because of this campaign.
Yeah, that's a great question and not something I covered. So I did touch on some of the brands that are participating, but I didn't really talk about kind of the impact overall in the corporate space.
Okay, awesome.
So, Veganuary has kind of a, if you build it, they will come, outlook with businesses.
Right.
We say we are building this audience of hundreds of thousands of people who are trying vegan this January. So you have this automatic built-in interest in plant-based that is going to be coming. So it's the perfect time to demo new products or new menu items when people will be looking hard for those items. And, we have a nice system going where on one end we're building that audience, we're encouraging them to try vegan, and then the other end we're working with corporates to launch new products, and those two feed each other. People trying vegan increases demand for those products, and then those products coming out and being delicious and accessible supports the people who want to try vegan and makes them want to do it longer term. So I think it has a really lasting impact. And we do often hear from businesses who launch, a limited time product during Veganuary, and it's so successful that they decide to do that and keep it on the menu throughout the rest of the year.
Amazing. That is a huge success. Is there kind of an example of some of those types of businesses or brands that you can think of?
Sure. Kind of a fun one that we were just talking about on our platforms is a pub in the UK, a traditional British pub with traditional British pub fare that
Right.
decided to go fully vegan for Veganuary. And for the first
Awesome.
time in their history, I mean, they're making reservations months out. People are driving 600 miles and staying in a hotel to eat at this pub, and they've just
Wow.
never seen anything like it. So they've decided to go full vegan forever.
That's huge. That's amazing. And that's something that would have never happened were it not for Veganuary.
No, I really do
Yeah.
think that it's this movement and the energy it's created that's inspired business owners to take the leap.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. And so what do you see for, I guess, next year for US Veganuary, right? I know it's a global campaign, but you guys have been operating in the US for just a couple of years, which by the way is really impressive if you think how far the campaign has reached just by only being operating in the US for a couple of years.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited with the way that it's grown in the US so far. We have over 200 businesses participating this year, and I see in the next couple of years, Veganuary USA really growing to the same notoriety and same level that it is in the UK. We have UK retailers tell us that it's bigger than Christmas in terms of their retail calendar, and you know, retailers
Wow.
retailers in the US have really started to embrace it, but I think there's a lot of room for growth there. And I'd love to see us, in store in every major retailer in the US. And I think it's a sleeping giant and we'll be there soon.
Yeah, very cool. I liked something that you mentioned in another interview, and something that we talk about a lot at 𝐕𝐞𝐻𝐭 is voting with your dollar, right? And
Yes.
how individual purchases from the collective add up to really shift everything. So can you talk a bit about how that drives what you do at Veganuary?
Absolutely. Yeah, one thing that we often say at Veganuary is it's about progress, not perfection, right? We are
Mhm.
encouraging folks to go fully vegan and to, eat vegan as much as possible, but we know that some people are trying their best and not getting there 100% of the time, but knowing that every purchase you make is really shifting the marketplace. Once businesses see this
Yeah.
demand for plant-based products, they'll continue to offer them. So like you
Mhm.
said, that term, I love it, voting with your dollar. I mean, it's really what we're doing. And the more we can incentivize purchasing plant-based, the more profitable the space will become. And,
Yep.
the more
The
we'll
easier it is
work
for
towards.
consumers.
Yeah, and we look forward to a world where vegan's the norm rather than the exception.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really telling. I know you had shared about a participant survey from a previous year, saying something like, 85% of the people who participated in Veganuary plan on permanently shifting their diet. So although this is a month-long campaign, the results and implications of it are much wider than that. And that's a powerful statistic for businesses who
Mhm.
launched a vegan product or promotion just for 1 month as like a marketing campaign, but to realize like, maybe this is something we want to hang on to. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it really does have staying power, and I touched on that a bit when you were offline, but we do see that about, like you said, 85%,
Mhm.
at least have their intake of animal products, and about
Wow.
40% stay fully vegan or, report that they're planning to stay fully vegan and then successfully do. So there is some staying power in what we do. And, I think that beyond those who report these significant impacts, just looking at the grocery store a little bit differently and looking at the restaurant menu a little differently during the
Mhm.
month will help people see all of the great vegan products that are already out there. So even
Mhm.
if they're not reporting, changing their intake by half, there are still even more who are just choosing more vegan in the day to day.
Right, right. Or increasing their awareness, right? It's kind of
Yeah,
like that thing you don't notice something until you know it's there. And then
exactly.
they become more aware and privy to the different options available in the future, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know that you're the U.S. director of Veganuary, but do you know anything about the backstory of how Veganuary got started and what kind of the inspiration was for the founders?
Sure. Yeah. And sorry if a little bit of this is redundant. I think I
Yeah,
got
I'm
into it a bit.
sorry.
No, it's fine. I love telling the Veganuary story. Um,
Cool.
so Veganuary started in the UK in 2014. And it was started by a husband and wife team named Jane Land and Matthew Glover. They really just came up with the idea around their kitchen table, two amazing vegan activists that had this idea and thought maybe the first year they'd be lucky if 1,000 people signed up. And they ended up with 3,300 signups. And so they thought, this
Nice.
idea really has some juice. We're onto something. Let's see where we can take it. And the numbers have just grown exponentially since then. We already talked about that we're already up over 600,000 this year, which is really exciting. And, the campaign's taken on a viral quality around the globe. We've had headlines in New York Times and Washington Post, and even big restaurant chains like Burger King and KFC have done Veganuary launches in the UK. So yeah, it's taken off in a big way since those humble beginnings in York, and
Yeah.
it's really become a global force.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, yeah, even for, small brands and big brands, it's just the perfect opportunity for anybody who's already in the plant-based space or who wants to be in the plant-based space to jump on it. And that again, that symbiosis, because then it just becomes easier for people to try vegan once there are more options available to them. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, I think that's super, super brilliant. I don't know if this was discussed while I was offline, but I don't know if you could mention Veganuary's future plans in terms of expansion to other regions and other countries.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, globalization is really an important part of what we do. We want to create a mass global movement for Veganuary. So, in addition to strengthening the campaigns in our flagship countries, which I mentioned earlier, but are the
Mhm.
US, the UK, Germany, India, Chile, Argentina, and Brazil. We also want to continue our global expansion. And, one area that we're looking at is Southeast Asia. And I,
Cool.
can't speak too much more to that now, but we'll definitely continue looking at new areas to grow into.
Very exciting stuff. Did you talk about how people can sign up for Veganuary and that it's not too late?
I did talk about it not being too late, but I didn't talk about how to sign up.
Okay,
So the
cool.
best way is to go to veganuary.com and click the try vegan button. Yeah, absolutely never too late. If you sign up today, you can start today and be a part of the January movement. Or if you're following us on social media, you'll find the link in our bio.
Very cool. Very cool. I'd love to know a bit about you as well and kind of what your background is. I know that you worked with farm sanctuaries, so perhaps you can tell everybody a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been vegan for about 11 years. And I grew up in upstate New York in a very traditional meat and potatoes kind of family. My
Mhm.
dad was a hunter and never thought twice about where my food came from. And then when I was in school at St. Lawrence University, I took a class about local foods and I read Michael Pollan's book, The Omnivore's
Mm.
Dilemma.
Mhm.
And it was the
Yeah.
first time I'd heard the word factory farming. And, my mind was just blown. I couldn't believe this incredibly
Yeah.
mechanized system and, so far away from natural. Um, and so I started only eating cage free and free range for a while. And, the more I looked into that, the more I realized you just can't trust those labels. So I decided I was one of those people who said, okay, if I'm going to eat animal products, I'm going to look them in the face, right? And I started volunteering at a small pig and chicken farm. And it was really, in my mind at the time, best case scenario. It was they had a lot of space. It was clean. They seemed well cared for, and I thought, yeah, this is how it should be. And I would go home with eggs from this farm, and I thought I was doing it the right way. And then I just saw some things on that farm that I was not comfortable with, and I
Mm.
decided, even at the best farm I can possibly imagine, I can't justify the way food is being produced, and so I started reading everything I could find about, being vegan, and I stumbled on Jean Bauer's book, which is called Farm Sanctuary, and was really inspired by the story of the sanctuary they'd started and the animal rescue, and was surprised to find that it's actually about an hour from where I grew up, but I'd never heard of it before. So I went to visit and just fell in love with what they were doing there and the vision, and ended up getting a job there. And yeah, the rest is history. I've been in the nonprofit space for about a decade now.
Amazing. Yeah. So, it's interesting because sometimes people come from a different career space into working in nonprofits, but you kind of have always been there in your working life, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have an image of like what you would be doing if you'd never found veganism and you weren't in the nonprofit space? What would you be doing?
I was an English major. I was a combined English and environmental studies major, and I always thought I would get into journalism, kind of like hard-hitting journalism.
Oh, okay.
So when I took my first job at Farm Sanctuary, I thought, I'll do this until I find my real job, right? Like, this is just a little stepping stone. Let me go spend some time with animals, and then I'll go become a journalist. And I just loved it. I loved the work. I loved being able to do something every day that I really believed in and that my heart was in. And yeah, I'm not a journalist, but I am really loving being a big part of the vegan movement.
Yeah. I think that's a huge blessing for all of us that work in the vegan space, is what we do has a lot of purpose to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, very lucky in that way.
Yeah, especially as we see veganism grow and change exponentially. It feels amazing to be part of something like that. And I think that growth probably encourages more people to sign up for Veganuary, seeing how it's growing and feeling excitement about being part of that movement.
Absolutely.
Are there any other interesting statistics or findings that you guys have found, after Veganuary is over with and you connect with some of these people and have these surveys of participants? What are some of the things that people are saying that really stands out to you?
Yeah, I love looking at the year-end survey. It's just so fascinating to see the motivation people have for signing up and the impact that they see. One thing that's really interesting is the global breakdown of why people try Veganuary. And last year, globally, 46% said they did it for animals, 22% said for personal health, and 21% for the environment.
Okay.
And I, was really pleased to see animals as the first reason, because I think that that's, maybe the one that's the highest bar in a way. I think some people, aren't exposed to issues around animals, and just knowing that that's really a strong motivator, I think is very encouraging. And I
think it's also inspirational, because for me, I went the opposite direction. I started with health and then environment and then the animals. But I think it's really beautiful to see so many people getting into veganism just because of the animals, because I think that ultimately that's the strongest retainer for vegans.
Yeah. And there is a lot of data out there that people, just whatever reason they come into veganism for, animals is usually why they stay. So when you sign up for Veganuary, our emails cover all of these different reasons to go vegan. But we do include a lot of content about animals, because we know that is, a key motivator that keeps people eating vegan year round.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very cool. Is there anything else that you want to share in terms of impact of Veganuary, something exciting that has happened now that you're, 3/4 of the way through the campaign?
Yeah, I said this earlier, but I think it was after you dropped off. So I'll just share this with you again, because this is kind of the biggest surprise of the campaign so far, is that we've now, the US is now the #1 country in terms of signups. So we've kind of surpassed the UK for the first time, and have seen really great growth in the US this year. So that's exciting.
That's huge in just 2 years.
Yeah, this is our third campaign in the US this year.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. So technically we're on year 3 now. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Well, I'm so happy that you joined me today and shared with everybody, more information about Veganuary. We were super excited to participate as well with our Veganuary guide. Anybody that's listening or watching can download our guide for free. There's excellent tips in there and recipes and great products that are kind of foundational to vegan success. And a few of those brands are also participating in our giveaway. So some of those are Tofu Bud, the Veggie Dome, which keeps your produce fresh for days without needing to go in the fridge, and a few other great brands that you can check out. And by participating in that giveaway, you could win some great stuff to help enhance your vegan 365 once Veganuary has come to a close. So thank you so much, Wendy. Everybody watching, please like and subscribe. We're going to do more interviews with different change makers and leaders who inspire us all in the vegan community.
It's been my pleasure. And thank you so much to vKind. You've been so supportive of the campaign this year. The resources you put together are beautiful, and we really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
On episode 1 of Vibes, we're taking you inside Besty's Vegan Paradise, 100% vegan marketplace in East Hollywood. There, we'll meet with co-founder and owner 𝐗𝐥𝐻 and learn more about the story behind Hollywood's favorite vegan grocery store. Our co-hosts, professor and television host 𝐓𝐡𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐠 and LA-based actor and writer 𝐗𝐥𝐻𝐧 will face off in a cruelty-free contest inspired by Supermarket Sweep inside of Besty's. Come join us for an exciting first episode of Vibes, the show that's busting vegan stereotypes one city at a time.